My name is Mike Madden, and today we're going to discuss the proper application of rainbow roof overs. 11 years ago, we designed a roof over system for the mobile home industry that offers a lifetime warranty to the homeowner. But the key to this is the proper application. And today, you and I are going to go through a few minutes as to the proper installation of the rainbow roof over. So let me take off my jacket and we'll get down to work as to how we install rainbow roof overs. When you get to the job site, it's important to remove the packing list from the end of the box. The packing list will indicate to you the number of boxes that should be at the job site, also the foam involved. If, for instance, the salesman sold 2 inches of styrofoam, the sheets are going to come to you 2 inches thick, 4 feet wide, and generally 12 to 14 feet in length. Make sure that you have enough foam. Make sure that all your 9 boxes or 10 boxes are there. Open the boxes up. Make sure and determine that there's no damage. In the event that there is any damage, there's an 800 number on there. Call me immediately. However, this rarely ever happens, but in the event that it does, call me. All right, now that we've determined that we have 9 boxes and all the foam is there, take a look at the tools. Make sure that you have all of the tools necessary to do the job. The first application of the mobile home roof over will be the side fascia. This T-shaped piece is what we refer to as fascia. This area on top is 3 inches. This little area, known as the drip edge, is 1 inch. The face of the fascia is 6 inches. This piece belongs here. However, generally, you'll find that the drip edge or the awning rail protrudes out. Sometimes there's a gutter there. That has to be cut off if it's an extruded piece. But if it's a roll-formed gutter, if it's a flimsy little piece, that can be hammered in or hammered down. So this is a very important piece, which allows this piece to fit flush up against the side of the home. All right, this is the existing mobile home roof over as you saw on the previous page. The drip rail was right here. This red area indicates that fascia we talked about, 6 inches from here to here, 1 inch drip edge and 2 inches which is covering the foam. What you do at this point is you take all of the fascia, which is the red, and you lean it up against the home. Make sure that you take each piece of fascia, which is 14 feet in length, and you mark on the face of the fascia, on the face of this fascia, every foot where you'll be placing the nylon-headed bolts. So when you're installing this, the nylon-headed bolts are installed a foot apart, and that way the job looks nice and neat as you go through. But before you do this, before you make that installation, take 1 piece of foam up there with you. You lay it lengthwise. In other words, if I'm looking at the mobile home from up above, and you're going to put the fascia down this 60 feet, you're going to have that piece of foam is going to be like this. And you're going to lay this piece. You take this piece of foam, move it over here, and you lay the next piece, and the next piece, and the next piece. Because you're only going to use 1 piece of foam to gauge the 2 inches from the existing roof to the top of the fascia. When you're installing the fascia, you can start right at the peak, or right in the middle of the single wide, for instance. If this is a single wide, you can start right here, come down to the outer corner, snip the top of the fascia here and here, and wrap this around the side. So now you're running down here. And what you're doing is actually taking this arch like this. And now, with the fascia, you're able to gable this home so that it has the appearance of a newer home today. But only the front panel will do this, because all of the other roof over panels will be arched so that you can walk on the roof. But right now we're concerned about putting the fascia completely around the perimeter of the home. So again, let's start in the middle of the single wide, run down to the edge, putting your bolts in 1 foot apart, snipping the fascia only on the top and the drip edge and the back side, and flipping this around like this, and then running down this side here. When you get to the back, you do the same thing, running this piece back here, and where they meet, you just fill in. So you've completely gone around the perimeter of the home. Okay. Now that this is done, now that your fascia is on, this is the fascia. Now that the fascia is on and you have a bolt in every 12 inches, it's time to lay some panels. We're going to lay down 2 pieces of foam. Again, we're looking down on top of this house. That foam, which is 12 feet in length, well, for instance, will run from here to here. That's the foam. And the foam will tuck underneath the fascia, just like you have there. The first panel, which is the key like anything, the first panel has to be installed square to the front. Generally, the overhang is about 4 inches. So if you look at your roof panels, you'll notice that the panels have 5 or 6 areas and 5 ribs. If you just have the second rib showing on your front overhang, that'll give you the 4 inches. So if you were to take a look at the front of the house, there's your fascia, like this. Your panel is coming out 4 inches beyond the fascia. Each panel is factory sealed. You take a look inside of those standing seams and you'll notice a light gray caulk. That caulk will never ever set up. So in the event that you ever have to replace a panel because of a tree limb, whatever it might happen, those panels can be easily removed. And they also keep that sealant keeps the water from infiltrating the home. The panels, when fastening a panel down, it's important that you, again, hit this area here. You can see in the pictures that you constantly fasten this down. The screws should be every 2 to 3 inches on the front of the home. And on the side of the home, as these panels are running, they're 1 foot wide, where your foam is 4 feet wide. There are 12 fasteners per panel. There are 6 per side. And when you get that first panel in place and you go to set your second panel, 1 person on the side, should take 2 people, 1 on each side. 1 person has the tape, constantly measuring from this point underneath that drip edge to the outer edge of that panel. Should read 6 inches if you've allowed for 6-inch overhang. 1 person is measuring each panel as they put it down. Then on top of that panel you have 6 fasteners. Those are the fasteners with the washer, the neoprene washer on it. When you're installing your first pan, since we have taken the arch out of the appearance of that single wide, and we've now given it the appearance of a gabled look, only that first panel will be snipped on the standing seam. So let's draw what the pan would look like. Here's your standing seam, like this. Well, as it's going up to this point here and coming down this side, you're going to have to snip it to allow that to happen. Now, in most cases, this part here will arch over without having to snip it. But on the front, for that gable, will have to be snipped, and that'll give it the new conventional look. But from here on out, all the pans are arched. Every panel will be arched. Interesting thing that we do at Madden Manufacturing is that when the job orders come in, the salesman will tell us that the home, for instance, if you're looking at the front of the home, from here to here, in other words, this is an imaginary line from this corner to this corner, and this might be 6 inches from here to here. These machines will arch that panel to fit that home. Every job is custom made. So it's up to you to tell us what you need, and we'll manufacture it that way. Because if it's manufactured custom made, the jobs go along much easier, they look much better, and the referral business is great for the salesperson. Let me get back up to the main section once again. This black line, this lower black line, represents the existing home. This is your 2 inches of insulation. This is your fascia. And this is your pan. This upper black line represents the pan. You'll notice in your box of materials that there are several tubes of Permaseal. Permaseal is an adhesive, and that adhesive goes right on top of the fascia. One nice bead of adhesive, and then the fasteners will go through the adhesive into the fascia. Be careful now to hold those fasteners back away from the drip edge so that you don't have your fastener coming through the outer edge. You want it back, just back in a little bit, maybe about a ½ inch from the face. And this will be your screw here. So not only are each pan is fastened with 6 fasteners per side, but it's also glued down. And it does 2 things. It holds it in place because we have to meet 120-mile-an-hour wind loads, and it also keeps the water from backing up. That's correct, 120-mile-an-hour wind loads in order for us to sell the product in Florida. All right, and when we get to a vent situation, and you contractors understand there's about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches as far as the PVC. What I would like to see happen is that the existing PVC extend beyond the 2 inches of foam. And in most cases, when you remove the old breather vent, you'll find that the PVC pipe is far enough beyond the insulation that it'll go up on top of the panel. And that way, when we put the new vent on, we can seal around the PVC and the new roof. And then we put the new pan on. So this is the pan, this is the vent, this is the new vent that would sit on top, your C-trim, just to kind of give you a general idea of what we're going to talk about. In the event that you come across a home with a skylight, and I know more and more today you'll find skylights in these newer homes, but these newer homes are our customers too. And so what we need to do on a skylight, for instance, the red area is the existing skylight entrance. What we've done is built a frame up around the skylight using 2x8s and ½ inch plywood. Well, we know a 2x8 is about 7.5 or 7.25 by 1.5 inches. But we're using 2-inch foam, so we need to make up another ½ inch difference, and that's where the ½ inch ply comes into place. So what we do is we take this and picture frame this completely around with 2x8s and ½ inch ply. We also will send you coil stock, and the coil stock goes right on top of the 2x8s. So this is now wrapped in coil stock, this whole area. So when these panels come down from the home, they're going to stop back a little bit like this. Then they'll start again here and run down here. So what's happening is, as the water is coming down either from this or from this, the water is able to go around the skylight on the coil stock. So you never run the standing seams of your roof panels. Let me see if I can draw that a little bit better. Okay. So the standing seam of the roof panel will never come in contact with the bevel of the skylight, because if it does, the water will never travel around the skylight and dam up here, and we've got a problem later on. So always hold it back. Now, with the Permaseal underneath these roof panels, when you go to put your fasteners in, you now have something to put your fasteners into, which is the ply and the 2x8. And that's how that's done. If there's ever any question, if you're at the job site, you pick up the telephone, you call 1-800-272-2071 and call me. Somebody is in our office to answer those questions at any time. After your coil stock is on, after your 2x8s are on, your coil stock is on, you put your new skylight on, and then you run your roof panels right on through. Let me talk about finishing off the skylight. Once the skylight, you've done your coil stock and your 2x8s and your ply, and you're going to find there's going to be a slight void around the inner skylight area. Simply take some coil stock. You're going to have some material left over from the roof. If you've got a good straight 2x4 or a flatbed pickup truck, you can bend the metal there, and you can place it around the inside of the skylight area, generally in this area, with some good silicone caulk, and I think it'll be acceptable by the homeowner. But take a look at it, analyze it, see what you think you need, and make sure that everything's ready, because when you get through that skylight area, you never want to go back onto the roof that you've just finished. You want to complete it as you go. And that includes the vents, like I had mentioned earlier. Let's discuss a room addition that is built on to a mobile home. Or this could be a carport or a patio cover. The interesting thing is here is that we're not able to install the fascia the way we discussed earlier, because you need those nylon-headed bolts to go into the top frame of the existing home. So what we've done here, again, we've talked about the 2x8s and the half-inch ply with the skylight. Well, the same thing would apply here. You have a 2x4, half-inch plywood. You now have a full 2 inches of wood and your foam. Now, naturally, you're going to have these items, or the wood, fastened down into the top plate of the existing home. So these are all screwed down with fasteners to hold these in place. It's not a bad idea to use Permaseal between the 2x4 and the old roof, between the ply and the 2x4, between the flashing and the ply, and between the pan and the flashing, just like a big sandwich. And what you've done is actually sealed everything with a caulking and glued everything together. So let's take a look at this one more time. This is the existing home. We can't put the flashing or the fascia on here and put a bolt in. So how do we attach a new roof? You have to build this up with 2x4s and half-inch ply. You're going to sandwich this all together with Permaseal. Now you've got a full 2 inches of wood. That's your foam. You're going to put your flashing down and onto the patio cover, carport, or room addition, or whatever this might be over here. Put some fasteners in. You lay your pan on top of that flashing, and you fasten down. That's the way this situation is handled, because there's no way that we can get our flashing, our fascia, on the home because of the addition. So this is where it should go, but we can't put it there. If you have any questions, just review this, and we also have some information in the catalog. This is a gabled roof. This could be the new single-wide gable. It can be a double-wide gable. But how do we treat this gable? Again, at the ridge, you have 2x4s, half-inch ply, 2x4, half-inch ply, your foam. and your foam. The pans, when the pans are ordered from us, we'll make them flat, and we'll also box the end, just like that. We also send out foam blocks that go in between the standing seams. And then we also send out a ridge cap. So when this job comes into you, as we said in the beginning, check that packing list. Make sure everything is there to do the job. Don't forget the wood. Don't forget your plywood. We don't ship the plywood, we don't ship the 2x4s, and we don't ship the foam. So make sure that all these items are there. We will send you the box pans. We will send you the styrofoam blocks. And we also will send you the ridge. Once the 2x4 and ply is in place, then your foam goes up against the back side, down to the fascia, and let's pretend we go like that, and this is the fascia. Remember that? Your fascia bolt, they're put in every 12 inches. The roof pan is put on. There's permaseal on top of the fascia, and this pan is going to extend 6 inches out if it's sold with an overhang, which should be. And once this pan's in place and this pan's in place, the next item is to put your ridge cap on. Make sure it's nice and straight and true. Use a pan fastener, that's the ones with the washers, on top of the standing seam. So this is setting in place now. The last thing you put on are the foam blocks. And usually the foam blocks are put back in about 1 inch from the edge. Keep them out of the sun, so about 1 inch from the edge. Now, here's the reason behind this. In the rain, the ridge cap is your first line of defense. Your second line of defense is your foam block, which keeps the water from blowing up in here. And if it does get by this foam block, it's going to have about 3 or 4 inches of void, and then you have your boxed panel. And this actually is going to be sitting on top. So it'll be very difficult for a high wind to blow any moisture into the ridge cap area. Let's talk about an addition on the home, whereas the addition is not level with the existing roof, but down, so we can put our fascia alongside the home. We're not using the 2x4s and plywood this time. All right, this black line represents the existing roof. This black line represents the addition attached to the home. Always, always, always do the lowest part of the roof first. The lowest part of the roof in this area happens to be the addition. But if you even had a home that went like this, you're going to do this first. If you had a home like this, you're going to either work both sides to the top and then cap that off up there. Now the reason for that is if you start from the low end, your standing seam is not going to allow water constantly beating away at the sealant. The water will actually go this way, and that's the way you want the water to go. It'll cascade over the standing seam correctly. So what we have here is the addition, 2 inches of foam, our boxed panel, our flashing, and once the flashing is on now, this addition's done. It's finished. Then we go to the main home and we put the fascia on over the flashing. These nylon-headed bolts, which are installed 12 inches apart, are going into the top header of the existing home. Don't forget now, you've got to gap this 2 inches, or whatever the thickness of foam has been sold. I would say that 999 jobs out of 1,000 are sold with 2-inch foam. 2-inch foam is pretty much standard in the industry. So once your fascia's on, you can start putting your foam in, you start laying your pans, and this is the way you would treat an addition that is, let's say, 6 inches or lower from the additional roof. We'll break all this up for you, so we need to know what the dimension is from here to here, so we can ship you all of the coil stock, or we'll break it up for you. Let me take a moment to talk about furnace flues, hot water flues. As you're progressing with your roof, you're going to come up against a furnace flue or a hot water flue. That flue should be removed and reinstalled. That flue should be reinstalled by a licensed heating or air conditioning contractor. It's very important that you protect yourself if you're not sure of what you're doing when it's involving furnace flue. And as far as the other items to watch out for are the high tension wires. Many of these homes have high tension wires running across them. There are trees and so forth, so just be careful when you're installing these roofs. Take a moment, look around at the job site, and make sure there aren't any hazards. And if there are any hazards that you're not feeling comfortable with, call a professional in to take care of it. Because these roofs are designed to protect the homeowner, but we also want you to be safe in the course of the installation. And again, if you have any questions, please call us. We're anxious to talk to you. And thank you very much for your time and patience, and good luck. Thanks.